Welcome in to Red River North. Randy Heitz, Dave Myrick, 1077 The Franchise. We've made it, boys and girls. College baseball season next week. Oklahoma down in Globe Life on Friday. Randy, I know that you probably kept up with the preseason press conference. Skip Johnson and a couple players spoke to the media earlier this week. I thought some things that stood out, addressing the lack of power from last year. You and I have talked about chaos forever.
Yeah.
We like it. It's a good mantra. It can win baseball games, but especially in this league, you've got to have some guys that can bang it over the wall. I think they knew that. But moreover, impressed me, they actually addressed it in the offseason.
Well, and it's what we've always said too. It's not only can you win and do all that in this league with that, but you have to be fully committed to it one way or the other. And I think with the fact with as little power as they had last year in some spots, they picked and choose too many times when to do chaos. So I think maybe now this seems like it could be the perfect balance, whether it's Brock, LaChance, Dickerson, of the many guys. Dayton Taki, I think that's a guy we forget about his power stroke. The OU lost for the last, half, third of the season, So there's more power that you can put throughout this lineup where you can still do both instead of going, hey, you don't want to run yourself out of an inning here because our one big power bat is two hitters away or something like that.
Yeah, and you just said the name, Brock. I think he's the
Yeah.
best player on this roster. Kind of turned the key, and here we go. What a job it was going out and getting him. As you kind of said in a tweet, that was the one you had to hold your breath. He wasn't going to jump in the major league draft. Does not, ends up in Norman. Chose Oklahoma over quite a few schools, I think, with higher NIL budgets. That's telling about what they want to do offensively. I think Todd Butler had a lot to do with that. The type of offense Reggie Willits likes to run. But I'm with you. I mean, you start to mix in some power with what they can do on the base pass with guys like Jason Walk and Jackson Willits. That's a lot of speed. You get some bats that can,
Hmm.
hit it alley to alley and gap to gap. All of a sudden, that's a pretty potent offensive lineup. Now the switch is from this time last year, knowing that the rotation was set. But what's the lineup going to do? Now we think they're going to be really good offensively, but what the hell is this rotation going to be?
Right, exactly. And it's kind of weird. I think I was actually on the franchise today and Jerry was talking to me a little and I didn't go deep into names. And that's kind of what I told him. I was like, I feel good about what Skip's got there as a pitching coach. We trust him as a pitching coach. You should, with his track record and everything. But there's a lot of great arms as far as high end, but unproven, and that's kind of where you just have to trust the process, if you will, see what happens. I mean, there's going to be, I think, some ups and downs in the early part of the season
Yeah.
but there is every year, even with returning arms. Think about last year. I know Skip said in the press conference, or maybe it was with Eddie and Ryan on the franchise morning show on Thursday, he made the comment about, heck, Malachi Witherspoon wasn't Malachi Witherspoon until about the last month and a half of the season last year. So take into consideration the talent that they have, that maybe what you see in the month of February and early March is not what you're going to see in the month of April and May.
No, I agree. And look, he's right about Malachi Witherspoon. We spent last year, the majority of the year, going, well, we were really hopeful for this kid to be as good as Kyson to kind of come close to it. To down the stretch, Randy, he outpitched Kyson Witherspoon and became the
Mhm.
best pitcher on the roster. You hope that happens this year with somebody, but it happens a little bit quicker. But the rotation is set for one day, one night. And I was stunned to hear this. I know that Skip Johnson loves Cam Johnson. He was kind of an experiment guy coming from LSU, highly touted left-handed pitcher with control issues. And once we saw that start last year, it was kind of the bugaboo. It never went away. It seems like this offseason, a lot of work was put in. And now the big 6'5 lefty is going to be handed the baseball for the season opener against Texas Tech. All the talent in the world. He just has to hone it in a little bit.
Yeah, and when you look at him, go back to last year, when you think about it, he had some really good moments. I mean, early in the season, he was in the starting rotation. And when he came out of the rotation, I'm not going to say he fully should have been out of the rotation at the time, is what I'm saying. He was still doing okay. But you saw those things that gave him problems. And it's not giving up a home run and then he's mentally shot. It was somebody behind him, and Skip made reference to what happened to him in the fall, the difference in him. You know, outfielder drops a fly ball on a play that was easily Cam did his job, and mentally it gets in between his ears, and he couldn't do it anymore, lost it all. You know, and I think you saw the change if you followed him in the summer and summer league. About mid July, there was a game I remember where I was following along and kind of had that same thing happen. Had an error behind him and he walked the next guy, but then he came out and got like the next three out. Bang, bang, bang. And from that moment on in the summer, it felt like, I'm not going to say he was a first round draft pick or anything like that, but you just kind of saw the rest of his starts through the summer kind of be more normal, where you thought, all right, if this is the Cam Johnson, they've got an arm you can put in the weekend rotation. A little surprised it's on Friday night, but it was kind of like, you got an arm now. All right, if he can mentally get it straight between his ears, he's good.
It's almost a point with me. You've got to throw this guy.
Hmm.
The risk reward, it's too big with what he's got stuff wise. A left-handed pitcher that throws 97, 98 miles an hour with a sinker slider. I'm a great curve, drops off the table. You've got to throw that out there and see what he can do. We know Skip, right? Throughout the years,
Yeah.
throw guys out there, they're going to sink or swim. He almost likes that, to see the fight or flight. We're going to find out. Yes, Summer League went well. Globe Life against Texas Tech, Tim Tadlock's bunch. We'll see what they have. Typically very good. They can hit the baseball. And we'll find out if Cam Johnson in front of the lights goes back to the last time I saw him in Frisco where he walked the bases loaded, or this summer where he looked like a major league pitcher. It's going to be one or the other.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and that's kind of the key with him. It's like, mentally. And I've said this, it's like we're going to know early on. Texas Tech, are they a superstar team? No, but they're really good. So it's kind of like, is this the guy that you think he can be? We're going to know early on because in that game, he's going to be tested and we'll see where he goes from there. And hey, let's just kind of watch along and hope for the best for him.
That's what we can do. His mom, Tasha, is very vocal on social media. She's been following us for a couple of years. I love the Johnsons, man. Great family, great kid. I've interviewed him on this show, or I guess a previous version, but just an awesome young man. Really hope that works out. But behind him, right, they've got a ton
Yep.
of arms. Mercurius coming from UNLV, I think probably has to be pretty close to second or third in line. Rarick, the Texas transfer, a hard throwing guy that I think Texas wanted to retain, didn't happen. But those are a couple to look at. Jaden Barfield, I thought impressed out there in the North Carolina regional late in the season. Michael Catalano, another freshman last year,
Hmm.
looked good at times. I mean, they've got a plethora of arms, just unproven at Oklahoma.
And really, to be honest, one of the arms you didn't even mention, I'm interested to see, and I know Skip vaguely mentioned him in the press conference the other day. It's because when he went in the portal day one, I was like, this is a kid Oklahoma needs to go get. And that's Isaac Williams, the Central
Oh, yeah.
Florida transfer. I I think he's got a heck of an upside. He's a power arm as well. And he's kind of one that I'm not going to say I'm penciling in, but I think he will be in the rotation, whether it's on a weekend spot, whether it's in the midweek spot. I got a feeling Williams may be that guy because he was on a weekend rotation with Central Florida, who was not a bad team last year. So I'm interested to watch him and Bixby, who I know Skip mentioned the other day. I kind of compare him to what's his name from Bull Durham, the pitcher.
Nuke
Uh,
LaLoosh, yeah.
yeah. I mean, he reminds me of him, a guy that, hey, he might take your head off, but he also might, strike out five straight guys with 100-mile-an-hour fastball down the pipe. So, I mean, he's one that I'm interested to watch as well.
Yeah, yeah, Sam. I like that take on the midweek for Williamson. I could see him sliding in there. Closer, I think we're going to see a lot of guys get a shot at that early. Briscoe
Mhm.
Smith, a freshman that from my
Very interesting.
hometown, yeah, called his state championship game up in Tulsa against Elgin. When Duncan won the state championship in 5A. Briscoe Smith is a dog, man. I mean, on and off the mound, he can hit, he can play in the infield, but he's got that thing on the mound you got to have as a closer, just that bulldog mentality. He's got a short memory as a freshman. I could see him locking that down. I know it's got a long ways to go, but that's my guy coming into the year.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think he's the guy, especially when you hear Skip talk the way he did about him the other day. I think that's who they want to go with. But the great news is you got a guy like Jason Bowden,
Yeah,
who was a
yeah,
setup man last year, that if the young kid can't get it done, or you need to share that role, I think they got several arms. I think we may see a little something different out of this team this year, too. And it's, we started to see it last year and maybe a little the year before. I don't think you're looking for Skip to have guys go 7 innings as a starter.
right.
I think you're going to see them not piecemeal the games together, but hey, can this guy go out and give us 5 innings? And that's where you're going to see these other arms come in, and where that closer role mode change, where, hey, Briscoe Smith may be your closer, but maybe Skip feels like this moment in the 7th inning could be bigger than what the moment is in the ninth. And that's where a guy like Briscoe Smith comes in. I think you could see a little of that this year, where they, especially the back end of the bullpen, they piece some things together a little interesting.
Yeah, yeah. A name we haven't even touched on, Randy. Gavin Jones was brought up. Skip in the
Yeah.
press conference. I could see Skip's, entire face and expression change when this guy's name got brought up. A lefty that throws 96, 97. They got a couple
Yep.
of that, and that's dangerous. I like him in that setup role. You got Jason Bowden back there. You got Gavin Jones. Maybe look at as a week to week starter midweek. The entire premise is they have so many arms, and I'm talking high power, 95 plus
Mhm.
arms. It's just going to be a matter, throughout the first of the season of trying to piecemeal where they go and win, and that's where you might see some of those ups and downs.
Well, and you talk about power arms. I mean, we talk Gavin Jones. Skip said 96, 97, and I knew I'd heard things. He wasn't hitting 96, 97 last year.
No, no.
I mean, that's just kind of some of the development that has happened here, over the offseason. And I think that should be encouraging with some of these guys. And if Oklahoma can have this many power arms, I'm really intrigued to see what this team does. And it's all over the place where people think this team's going to be. I know you
Yeah.
saw the coaches poll yesterday, 14th in the SEC. And what's sad, that's not bad. The SEC is a really deep conference, maybe deeper than it was last year. It's going to be deeper this year. And yet, Baseball America had them as a 19 national seed. Think about that.
Yeah.
14th in your own conference, 19th national seed. That's insane.
That's SEC baseball, right? I think you and I had a pretty good gist about what Oklahoma was going to hop into. I think other people now are like, oh my God, it's a gauntlet. Yeah, every single year. It's a regional. Pretty much every single weekend is the environment that you're in and teams you're playing. I get it, because of that schedule, right? Because the teams they have to
Right.
play, but yet you look at the roster, you look at what they brought in the portal, what they brought back. It's like, yeah, they can be pretty good. I think they can be pretty good and still end up, with that 33, 34, 35 win mark, which is good. That'll get them where they want to
Yeah.
be. But they're, the point is they're not going to go 45-17 in the S. They're not one of those teams, I don't think, unless they really surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, to do that, I'm with you. They would have to really surprise me a little. That's why I think we talked about it on. I know somebody asked each of us a question: what's the win total, for tournament? I think 35 to 38. If here's the thing, and I know Skip talks about RPI. The conference alone will get you a high RPI, and OU's non-conference looks great.
Yeah.
But as a college baseball fan, I've seen this before, where a school goes out and puts together this massive, you know, massive hard schedule, and all of a sudden you roll around and guess what? This team didn't pan out. Team didn't pan out, and all of a sudden, a schedule that preseason looked like it was maybe the toughest in the country, you got 10 teams in the 100s in your RPI. But if everything holds out, this is going to be one of the top, I'd say, 15 schedules in the country.
Yeah, it has to be. Just by the metric of playing in this league, that's what it does for you baseball. Well, it's good, right? Because you got a high RPI.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad because they can kick your ass every weekend. That's where pitching has to come in. If it does, I love what they've got. 1 through 9, at least we think 1 through 9 will be. Kind of the issue, though. They have a lot of dudes to choose from about 1 through 9. You start looking at the outfield. I don't know when and where they're going to play. We can go ahead and say we know Jackson Willits, Kyle Branch, Jason Walk, probably Taki at first. Beyond that, it starts to get dicey. Guys like Dickerson, Stevens, Blair, Broomball. I don't know when and where they're going to go. I think Dickerson will DH. I think Alec Blair, you got to get
Yeah.
some playing time. I don't know.
Well, and I think, I think Skip made mention of this, and everyone has. This is the deepest offensive lineup I've seen, and really deep arm wise as well. The attitude that's going to come out of that dugout is going to dictate where this team goes, because there are going to be guys that are going to be playing really well, Dave, that may not play for 3 games
Yeah.
because the other guy's playing really well. It's going to be, can they all come together as a group, as a team, and realize, you know what? I may not be an everyday guy. Because here's one we haven't even mentioned that I think is going to play a lot and be a big guy. Drew Dickerson. I mean, he was injured in the fall. He's had a pretty good spring so far. There's a bat that, he's going to play a lot more than last year, but he's probably not going to be in the lineup every day. Does that kid have his head on straight? Does he keep his attitude good in that dugout when he's not there? And if they do that, this team can do really good things. But you've also seen it as well, Dave, in any sport. When guys feel like they need to play or should be playing over this guy or that guy,
Yeah.
it can really make things rocky. And so that's what we have to watch with this team. What's going to be the balance? And I think it's going to be interesting because of the depth. And I'm not ripping him because Reggie's been a great coach. He always fills out the offensive lineup. Reggie's had a weird habit. I'm not going to say bad habit of never changing that lineup. And there's a difference when you don't have 8, 9 guys on the bench that are good enough to play. You only have 1 or 2, and maybe you just make some things, change here and there, and it keeps everyone happy. But when you're going to have 8 or 9 guys probably on the bench that could start for a lot of teams, you're going to have to try to make everyone happy to keep the cohesion in that locker room.
Culture, right? How's your
Yeah.
culture as a program? Because you got a bunch of dudes that want to come in and play college baseball, right? That's why they came to
Yeah.
Oklahoma. That's why they chose OU over other teams. If day by day they get out there at the dugout, the lineup card, and go down there not on it, do they start to get pissed off? Do they start to pout? Does that start to infect the locker room? Because when it does, that's when bad things happen. But you have to think, guys like Todd Butler, Reggie Willits, Skip, Ryan Gaines, when they're recruiting these guys, right? They're doing their homework and they're talking
Yep.
to the former players and coaches from the past. What kind of character do they have? Do they hang their head when they don't get their way? You got to think that due diligence pays off. And if a guy like Dickerson isn't in the lineup, he's not going to sit over there and get pissed off. But you're right. I mean, talking before the presser with some staff, it's like, got a lot of depth. That's good. And bad. Yeah, that's right. Because, I mean, guys can get mad, and that can really have a negative effect. I think I go back to what I just said, though. I trust the staff to bring in high character kids like we've seen Easton Carmichael, Jackson Willits, kind of legacy guys. And I like that as being the bedrock. Jason Walk, Jackson Willits, to help these guys come in and understand this is our culture. Nobody is above the team. If you're not getting your way, don't let it affect you. So I like that aspect, having a lot of depth this year. I do think Reggie will have to tinker with the lineup just a little bit more than we've seen to keep some. I mean, which means maybe change it once every 30 games because that's been a challenge so far.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing. What's he going to do? And part of that is, I mean, we forget. I know Reggie coached in the majors, and everything, but it's only been here since what, 22,
Wow. Yeah.
as a coach, and sometimes it takes a while to pick up on, okay, we need to do this, and he hasn't had this type of roster, to be honest with you, as good as the teams have been. I mean, we're talking about a national runner up.
Yeah.
They still didn't have this kind of depth. So, it's gonna, let's see what happens now that he knows what he's got. Does he have a little more time to mess around? Does he figure out what he wants to do as a coach and everything? I think that's what's going to be fun to watch here in the early going.
Well, a guy we've not really talked about, Brock plays catcher outfield, a full time catcher at 6'5", the Canadian LaChance. This is just a slugger. That's what he is. He's good defensively, but he can
Yep.
bash the ball over the wall. A lot of power with that 6'5" bat, over 20 home runs a season ago. I'm really curious to watch this guy behind the dish. You don't see 6'5" catchers every day, but that's a bat you got to get in the lineup. And it's almost one where you need him and Brock as well. And that's where that
Yep.
DH thing starts to get dicey because if you fill that out with one or the other, then guys like Dickerson, Blair, they're not playing. Deshaun Harris, another guy we hadn't touched on that I thought finished the year really well last year.
Yeah.
They might all be sitting. So how do they handle that?
Yeah, and I think, and I think he's a good kid and is, paid his dues at Oklahoma and everything like that. That's where I think you're right. It's like, um, how does he handle Jason Harris? How does he
Right.
handle not getting starting time? Because if I was him, I would have looked and thought, man, after last year, they're not going to find anyone else. I'm going to be the guy, knowing they're always looking for other guys. All of a sudden, nope. Wow, there's a lot more competition than I had the years before when I wasn't, getting in. So he's a guy that hopefully some of these guys coming in can learn from. Because if anyone knows how to be that team player, look at Deshaun Harris.
Right.
He's that ultimate guy. I think the one young kid we mentioned him a little, Alec Blair. I mean, he's a guy that I saw D1 baseball. They ranked the top 20 freshmen in America, impact freshman chance. He's number 10.
Yeah.
How do
He's
you not
highly
have him
touted.
in how do you not have him in the lineup 90% of the time?
That's going to
Eh,
be tricky because Dickerson was almost the same as a freshman
Yep.
last year and barely played. But here's the thing that the fans get hung up on what we just talked about, right? They see what we just talked about and they're like, why isn't this guy playing? If you get to a point where both Dickerson and Blair aren't, right, and say the team struggles for a week or so, that's where that depth can kind of backfire because you're going to have a lot of couch coaches on Twitter going, where the hell are these guys? Perfect Game told me they were really good, but we don't see them.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can see kind of getting in the way of this team. If they just block that crap out, have a good attitude inside the dugout, I think this is going to be one of the better OU baseball teams we've seen since that national runner-up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 100% with you, and it's kind of good and bad. I guess it's good because they say Brock can play other positions as well, which good and bad. But it's like all of a sudden you want both those bats in your lineup,
Right.
probably Lachance and Brock. You think, oh, well, you could put one of them at DH. Well, now all of a sudden, you mentioned it, Dickerson, Blair. You're using the DH spot for two catchers potentially.
Yeah.
It's like it's a blessing. Don't get me wrong. If you're a coach, you love it, but it's also a curse because you're like, how do I, a spot that I thought I could have used one of my extra hitters? No, I mean, heck, my two catchers are two of the best hitters. It's like it's the good and the bad with having talent, and that's just kind of the way it is in the SEC when you look around rosters. And you know what's funny, Dave? One guy I'm excited to watch, and I haven't heard Skip mention him, and I know you and I talked when he transferred in, Nolan Stevens.
Yes.
He's done
Yes.
it at the SEC level, and no one even mentioned him in the press conference the other day. I'm like, how's this guy not being mentioned more?
Yeah, I agree. That might be a good thing, though, right? That means he's
Right.
just doing his thing, right? He got on campus and picked up right where he left off at Mississippi State. And they're like, he's good. We don't need to talk about him. I don't know. Or you know what? He might be lost in the shuffle and he's not as good as we thought and we don't see him. I don't know. That's how deep this team is. A lot of these unknowns, we're not going to have any idea until lineups start rolling out. I don't even think the staff, to be honest with you, has a real clear clue what they want to do 1 through 9 right now. I think it's going
I,
to be a revolving door the first couple games.
Well, I 100% agree. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I know the roster backwards and forward because I haven't got to watch them a lot. I got out and saw, I think, one or two fall scrimmages. But when you look at it, the amount of freshmen, Skip talked about this being his best freshman class, not just at OU, in his 35 years. We're going to see freshmen that we knew were highly regarded. I mean, Briscoe Smith, we talk about him as a pitcher. There's a lot of guys that are going to play positions in the field
Yep.
and you're not and so it's like there's going to be guys trotting out there as freshmen you're going, why is this guy playing over the junior? And it may take 2 innings and everyone goes, oh, that's why that guy's playing. There's going to be guys that I'm not going to say come out of nowhere, but to the average fan, come out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's probably going to take us aback too at some point to see a guy that we thought was really good not play anymore. But that's where we're
Mhm.
at. That's what you want. We heard the phrase at the press conference: "Iron sharpens iron." I don't think they've had this much iron since they've been at Oklahoma. This staff, in particular, that's crazy to say with a team that had guys like Jimmy Crooks and Peyton Graham, they Treadaway. They were really good. They just didn't have the depth behind those guys this team has. Now, the frontline guys this year have to live up to their billing. Like Jackson
Right.
Willits, Kyle Branch, Jason Walk. They need to do what, everybody expects them to do and be the leaders and the best players on this team. Then it has a chance to do really well.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, Dave. But yeah, I think that's. Give me a second, Scott, and I'll be there. Sorry, someone came to my office at the same time. Uh, okay. Anyway, I fully agree with you, and I think that's the difference when we're talking about this team. I don't want anyone out there thinking, at least I'm saying, and I know you're not saying it either, that this team is the national runner up talent
Right.
front line.
Right.
We're saying 1 through, what is it, 34 the roster now? 1 through 35. The roster is better than that roster.
Yeah.
The starting nine, until they prove it on the field, I'm not going to say it's better than the starting nine, but it's the fact of depth. Let's just take 22, for instance, because we all go back to that because that's what the, OU fans that have really grown to love this baseball program since that moment, they focus on. It's big difference that back then Brett Squires goes down with the
Yep.
injury in the World Series. It wasn't a train wreck, but people wondered, what are they going to do now? What are they going to do now? We think, based on the talent, they have solutions to that problem based on an injury. That's the difference in this roster.
Well, and I'll stand by it. If Brett Squires doesn't break his hand against A&M, I think OU wins a national championship.
Yeah.
And that kind of points to what we're talking about, mixing in power with chaos, because he was that power bat in the lineup
Yep.
out of nowhere down the stretch that they had to have to get through super regionals to make it to Omaha. As soon as he went down, though, that team didn't have what we think this one has behind it. I know what they didn't have on the mound, this one compared to that. They don't have a Cade Horton out there. They don't have David Sandlin. So, yeah, we got some guys on the mound that have to do their part as well to be anywhere near that team. But I can't wait to get it going. Starts Friday, Randy, down in Frisco. I'd love to go, but I'll be on the road for OBU. I know you'll be tuned in, though.
Yeah, I was thinking about going, but it's just kind of like it gets so crazy this time of year. And we're doing stuff here at the station, all about. I'm probably not leaving anytime soon, as we're going through some things. So I would love to go, but it's going to be neat. I mean, you get Texas Tech, you get TCU, and of course Saturday, Bedlam down in Arlington. How
Yeah.
much fun is that going to be? Because I think OSU, they're an intriguing team this year. I mean, I think they're picked sixth in the Big 12 in the preseason poll. Rob Walton's out at pitching coach. I mean, what are they going to do there? I think they brought in the guy from Oregon as the pitching coach, who is really good. How quick can he make his mark on this staff? Because they had pretty much already recruited their players for this year. So how quick can he make his mark on this team at OSU? And that's going to be a fun test, I think, for both teams on Saturday.
Well, who's OSU going to blame when things go bad if Rob Walton's not around anymore? I don't know who the whipping boy is going to be. Careful what you wish for. Yeah, Rob Walton, I guess his staff struggled down the stretch, but I still think he's a great pitching coach and will
Yep.
go on to prove it. So we'll see what happens. That's going to be a blast. Bedlam down there in Arlington, that's such a cool venue for these kids to get to go play in. I just hope the crowds get out and support them, because when they don't, it goes from cool to awkward, man. You hear birds chirping in the outfield, everything echoes. It's like a scrimmage, and it deserves better than that. Speaking of deserve, just
Mhm.
want to touch on this. Eldale Mitchell Park, Kimray Family Field, finally getting some stuff done to it. Kudos to this OU administration and baseball staff for having the patience and fortitude to stick through. Everybody knew it, they needed it, and we all kept hearing it was coming. Finally has begun. It dragged a long time, but it's here, and I'm glad to see it.
Yeah, it is. And you look what they're doing. I mean, phase one is being done right now. I mean, there's a reason why New Mexico State game, which was supposed to be the home opener the Wednesday after the Globe Life series, well, it's going to be played in Globe Life on Monday. The weather delayed them a little bit, and you know, it's going to have the bullpens in the outfield. The outfield fence is going to be a little different. I'm excited to see that, and it's a credit not only to the administration but Skip Johnson and the staff, kind of pursuing that and helping that get along where they raise the funds. And I think it shows the commitment that Oklahoma has to baseball. I know a lot of people have mocked it, the diehard OU baseball fans, that don't want to look at the big picture. And I kept telling them they're getting it done. It's just it's a process, and
Yep.
they've gotten to that point and they haven't wasted any time to get things done. Now phase two starts next year or in the off season here, and let's see where it goes from here. But I think it's bigger and better things for Oklahoma. And again, if Skip Johnson and the staff can recruit the best freshman class he's ever had in his 35 years with what they had now, what are they going to be able to do with all the new facilities and everything else that they're going to have part of that.
Yeah, and it's going to help everything. I mean, pitching labs now is almost a must if you want the best talent. You combine that with what Skip Johnson, his tutelage and past, people already want to go play for the guy if you're a pitcher. Hitters coming in, right? New facilities, batting cages, all that stuff plays in. Better facilities typically equals more wins equals more fans equal more money. Then your NIL budget starts to go up. Then you can start competing with guys
Yeah.
like Texas, maybe not ever Texas A&M or LSU, but at least mid-pack SEC, and what this staff has been able to do with a lot less competing, that would be a great start to at least get halfway up in the SEC NIL-wise. They're getting there facility-wise. You and I have been beating that drum, man, for 3 years. It's to me, it's kind of like it almost feels like we got to the top of the mountain. We're finally seeing some fruits of all that labor. I'm happy to see it.
I am too. And I know we've talked to people as the NIL where they want to be, but no, but it's increased every year.
Yeah.
So I think that's just something that's going to come along with time. And I'll be honest, NIL is always going to be important. I think in time, kids are going to start learning, you know what? Money's important, but also having a spot. Let's be honest. You're an Oklahoma athlete, Oklahoma State. I don't care what school you go to. You graduate with a name, you can go back and sell insurance and make a good living the rest of your life. I
Yeah.
think we're going to get to that point in 3 or 4 years where some kids realize, hey, you know what? Chasing that bag for this year and that year and really having no home to go back to, they're going to look back and see some of those alums and some of the young guys are going to, you know what? Maybe I should stay at this school as the backup for 2 years. I think we're going to get to that point. And also, when you look at a portal that gets loaded, and there's 6,000 kids that don't have a scholarship anymore because they thought they had something bigger and better on their horizon and don't get it, they're going to realize, you know what? My scholarship and whatever NIL I'm getting at this school, it's pretty dang good.
It's a learning process, right? I think you've got to
Mhm.
get burned to learn, as they say, and a lot of kids are, and a lot of kids are watching that happen. Did want to address Sooner Cowboy. Will OU ever beat Texas again in any sport? Well, it doesn't seem like it. It's not going to be basketball anytime soon. I'll touch on the train wreck that is OU basketball. It sucked last time we recorded. It still sucks right now. They got to make a change. I don't know what they're waiting on. I guess it doesn't matter to do it now or wait. I would just say do it. Get out in front for recruiting purposes, but it doesn't look like they're going to. I'm glad Blair got away from that train wreck and went to baseball only. That he needs to focus on that and get away from that disaster.
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's not turned out well for anyone involved, and it's a train wreck. And I kind of understand. I mean, what's the point at this point in time of making the change this late in the season? If it was so bad early on and you want to make this change, I get that. But at this point in time, you got what, 9 games left of the season, 10 counting the game and the tournament before you lose, and you know, figure everything out. And you just kind of let, I think, Denny get in there. We haven't talked much about him, but you let Roger Denny take some time. He takes over officially. I think it's what, next the Monday
Thursday?
after the openings. I think is it the 13th? I can't
Yeah.
remember. Is the 16th or 13th? Anyway, but yeah. So he takes over Thursday. Let him have some time and get in there and get his feet wet. But I think a change is going to happen, even if Denny didn't want to. I think he knows there's got to be a change at this point in time, just because fan base and everything.
Yes.
We'd say there needs to be more money for NIL. There's two ways NIL increases budget and funding for any sport increases: winning, or when everyone's disgruntled and upset, a change to bring in a breath of excitement.
Yep.
And that's one reason alone I feel bad for Porter, but that's kind of the reason I think it definitely happens.
Oh, I feel bad for the guy. He's a great man. It didn't work at OU, and this fan base is checked out. The few that are still like kind of hanging on, they will check out because I don't think they'll win another game. They might win one game down the stretch, but this team, they got nothing to play for. They got a lame duck coach. That's why I say
Mhm.
rip the Band-Aid off and give the fan base a breath of that fresh air. And if it's the right hire, that could to go along with the expansion now and the new stadium and all that getting passed, that might be a good thing to rip it off and get a breath of fresh air in. If it's the right hire the fan base likes, that could be a
Yep.
good influx in thing. But that program is in serious trouble right now. But yeah, man, that's a bad deal. Denny's going to have to address immediately. OU baseball is in good shape. Football looks to be okay. Softball is very good. So yeah, he's
Yeah.
got stable coaches all the way around the board.
Which, by the way, I watched some of the softball game last night.
Yeah, how'd
My
that go?
goodness. That freshman catcher, she hit 7 home runs in the fall, you know?
Yeah,
Oh, she's the one that hit the 2-run shot last night. She just obliterated the ball. I was like, "Oh my god. That's a freshman?" Yeah,
yeah.
pretty impressive. Patty's loaded. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much there's one wart on the OU athletic department right now, and I think it'll be fixed in the offseason.
Time to rip the Band-Aid off. We did not get to watch because I do have to shout out my Oklahoma Baptist Bison, number 10 team in college basketball. Goes on the road last night and beats Harding, who had a 13-game win streak, came back and erased a 10-point deficit with under 2 minutes to go to win on the road. I sustained a scorer's table little injury here. A
I
guy
was going to bring that up.
charging for the basketball. I was all about it, though. I'm like, oh, it hurts, but let's go. Let's win the game. Awesome stuff, man. Really proud of OBU. They've got a good team. Can't wait to see what they do down the stretch.
Dude, that arm is getting tore up for you.
I can't catch a break. Well, yeah, I did actually, literally. Yeah, I know. Well, Randy, enjoyed it. Anything you want to close up with?
No, I think I'm good. I'm just sitting here trying to work on logs, so I'll let you
Okay.
go and finish up the weekly work. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm ready for the baseball season to get going, and I'm sure we'll do another one of these actually before the season gets going.
Yep, I'll be up next week. You and I will chat it up, and yeah, gets going next Friday down at Globe Life. For Randy Heights, I'm Dave Myrick. Been Red River North. We'll catch up.